won't waste another minute, no, I won't. I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man on a mission.
Welcome to Entitled to Nothing, where we believe our life is our fault. My name is Mink, and I recently posted a video on social media saying this exact thing. Our life is our fault. And multiple people told me to go fuck myself. So I thought we should talk about it today. I started this show because I have failed over and over in my life. I've had multiple business failures, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I went bankrupt at 23. And then once I figured some things out and made my first $1 million, I lost it all and had to start over again. And I've found a way to turn my failures into lessons, and I've used these lessons to build life on my terms. My businesses have done over $50 million in sales since I went bankrupt. And I love to travel. I've traveled all around the world, been to 40 different countries, and I want to share everything I've learned on my journey to help inspire you on yours. So as I said, I want to share a video clip that I posted with you guys. It's actually a clip from a previous podcast episode where I'm talking about our life is our fault. And the comments were interesting. There was a few people that agreed, but most people did not agree. And there's so much that we can learn from each other. I really believe the greatest gift we have is the gift of each other. And we can learn and grow from the different ideas and experiences and perspectives that we have. And we learn the most from people that have a different perspective from us. You know, I think one of the greatest things we can do in life is question everything. You know, we're living in a time in history where oftentimes the people in power or the leaders, they tell you not to question their authority. Don't question their judgment. Don't question the science. And the truth is, I think anytime someone tells you not to question something, they don't have your best interest in mind. You see, I think if we question truth, the truth becomes stronger. The more that we question the things that are fundamentally true in life, the more the truth reinforces itself. And so I'm a big fan of debate and questioning and listening to people of opposing ideas. And that's what I thought we would do today. So we're just going to think out loud. We're going to have some fun. We're going to read some of the comments. And then I want to have a conversation about it with you guys today. So let's start by watching the clip together. And that's the whole idea of entitled to nothing in the first place, right? Our life is our fault. If you don't like your life, your relationship, your health, your business, your finances, if you don't like anything, it's your fucking fault. And I know you don't want to hear that, and I don't want to be the one that has to tell you about it, but it's the fucking truth. The truth of life is more important than the way that we wish it was. I wish it was all sunshine and rainbows, but then we wouldn't enjoy it because that's what we would have every day. It's the polarity. It's the light and the dark. It's the good and the bad. So again, the premise of this show is we are entitled to nothing, and our life is our fault. What that doesn't mean, though, is external situations and circumstances are our fault. And I think that this is self-evident, but a lot of people are taking this message very literal. And I had a lot of comments that, well, you know what? Let me just read some of them to you. I'm not going to name names, but you can see the comments if you're watching the video. So my ADHD and bipolar is my fault. Another person says, yeah, you're right. It's my fault. I was born with a disability. This guy says, my health is jacked up and the doctors don't know what it is. So yeah, that's my fault. All my health conditions are my fault. I want to have empathy. I want to be sensitive to people, right? Because we all are born into different circumstances, different situations. We're all born with different ideas or circumstances, different advantages or disadvantages. You know, one thing that I heard from Jim Rohn, and then I heard Tony Robbins say it as well, is this idea that we're all equal as souls, but we're not equal in the marketplace. We're not equal in the world, right? Because we all have different starting points. We all have different challenges and obstacles and adversities that we have to overcome. And there's so many situations in life that are not our fault, right? And I think intuitively we understand this, But we live in a culture that is celebrated victimhood. It's celebrated blaming others. And we're in this position where we want to blame other people for why we are where we are. And I think that's killing us in so many ways. You know, one of the things I believe is power follows responsibility. If I blame you or someone else for why I am where I am, then you have all the power over me. And there's nothing I can do. I become the victim of circumstance. But if I take responsibility for something, even if it's not my fault, even if there's nothing that I can do about it, if I take responsibility for it, I have the power to use or to learn or to grow or to do something with my life in spite of those challenges, in spite of those disadvantages. And that's what I'm talking about when I say our life is our fault. When we have the courage to take radical responsibility for our results and say, you know what? It might not be my fault, but it's my responsibility. And I was born with this, or I have this issue or that issue, or whatever the situation may be. These are the cards that I've been dealt. And it's up to me to play this hand to the very best of my capacity. And I'm sensitive to the health comment specifically because there is so much in our lives from a health standpoint that we don't have any control over. Now, there's a lot that we do control, right? If you're overweight, if you're out of shape, if you're suffering from health issues that are due to bad habits, lazy lifestyles, and not taking care of your body, that's your fucking fault. Sorry to tell you, that's your fault. You have the power to change those things. But there's many things in our lives, health-wise, that we don't have the power to change. Disabilities that we are born with, health conditions that we can't figure out what's causing them, right? But again, we can be the victim of those situations and say, well, I'm disabled, or, I don't know what's going on with me. I was born with cerebral palsy. Like, there was a lot of these comments that were blaming their condition on their health. And again, I want to be sensitive to this because there is situations that are true. There's things outside of us that are not our fault. But I just believe that if we say, I can't do what I want to do because of this, right? It's going to always limit us, and we're going to always hold ourselves back. And I think there's countless examples in life where people with really crazy health conditions or challenges have overcome incredible odds. You know, I saw a story about it. There's a documentary about a guy who was blind, who climbed to the top of Everest, right? He built a team of people to help him literally climb the most dangerous, tallest mountain in the world. And he did it as a blind man. There's other famous runners that have broke record after record without any legs. I know of not one, but two different speakers. Ironically, both of them are named Nick. Nick Vujicic and I can't say his last name, Nick Santos something, but both of them were born with no arms and no legs. And both of them have found a way to turn their disabilities into an inspirational story that they serve the world with. And both of them have traveled all around the world doing things that people told them they would never be able to do because they didn't let their limitations define them. You see, when we say, well, my health is this, I'm disabled, this issue happened to me, that issue happened to me, it might not be our fault, but we're letting those external situations, those limitations define us. And the meaning that we give things is going to determine the impact that it has on our lives. You can see something as right or something as wrong, something as the end or the beginning. And I just choose to believe that I'm responsible for everything in my life. And even if it's not my fault, it is my responsibility. And I just believe that if we all lived our life this way, we would be able to make the most out of the cards that we've been dealt. There's a few more comments in here that were very interesting. This guy says, what about when other people make poor decisions for you in your life? I mean, what do you say to that? It's like you're letting other people determine your experience of life. I recently saw a video online, and it was an actress, and she was saying, if I insult you in another language that you don't speak, the words mean nothing to you. They don't have any impact, and you don't have any way of understanding that I'm insulting you. And all insults are the same way. Nothing that someone else says has meaning except for the meaning that you associate to it. And now look, this one's easier said than done, especially when it's someone that we love, someone that we care about, someone that we really want their affirmation and their approval. And when we don't get that, or when they maybe say something negative or put us down or tell us how bad we fucked up, right? That can hurt. But sometimes we need to be hurt. We need to be pushed. We need to be challenged. And I think that's what life is about in a lot of ways. If we can have the courage to let other people that we respect challenge us, push us, call us out, call us up, and let us find ways to learn and grow, man, it goes back to my point. The greatest gift we have is each other, and we can learn so much from listening to other people's perspectives and hearing why other people might disagree with your perspective. I think we're living in a time where if you don't agree with me, fuck you, right? And we see this in the political sphere all the times, but in so many ways, we live in a divisive culture where if you don't agree with me, if you're not for me, you're against me. And one of my favorite sayings is the sign of true intelligence is being able to occupy two opposing ideas and see and understand both of them, see the logic in both of them, and be like, you know what, I understand why you might think that way. And here's what I think, and here's how I might agree or disagree. Let's see if we can find some common ground. But, when I started Entitled to Nothing and I said our life is our fault, I knew it was going to piss some people off. And I never want to be rude or disrespectful, but sometimes we need a wake-up call. And if you're out there and you've found yourself making excuses for why you're not where you want to be, and those excuses are external situations or circumstances, or because this happened or that happened or someone wronged you, you need to wake up. You need to look in the mirror and you need to say, it wasn't my fault, but it is my responsibility. And if I want to create anything worthwhile in my life, I have to take responsibility for my experience. As humans, we are meaning-making machines. We assign meaning to everything, good or bad, right or wrong. And I think it comes from the evolution of humans, right? We always had to understand what everything was. We needed to know is like, that's safe, that's potentially dangerous. This over here, we don't know what that is yet. We need to proceed with caution. And so contextually, we have to put meaning on things and compartmentalize it so we know whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, or if it can hurt or kill us. And this is part of that like mammalian aspect of our brain. And it oftentimes automatically assigns meaning to everything. And the meaning that we assign to things is usually bullshit. Again, whether something is right or wrong, good or bad, the end or the beginning, a blessing or a curse is bullshit. It's up to us, right? And using some of these examples, we can clearly see that. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pull in a few more examples because life is hard. There's going to be all sorts of fear, pain, setbacks, failures, adversities, challenges, right? Very few things in life are guaranteed, but one thing that's guaranteed is death, and one thing that's guaranteed is pain and change and needing to overcome obstacles and situations in our lives. And I just really believe that if we all adopted this mindset of life is happening for me, not to me, it might not be my fault, but it is my responsibility. Nothing can control how I react and respond. Any situation in every circumstance is always my fault. And if we can take control over our reactions and the way that we respond to things, we can then take control over our life. I think I already said this, but it's worth saying again. The way that we react and respond to situations and circumstances in our lives is far more impactful and way more important than the circumstances themselves. So I wanted to share some of these comments with you guys today and dive into this topic because I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I want your feedback. I want you to challenge me, and I want to have a conversation back and forth on how we can learn and grow together. Again, I think the greatest gift we have is each other, and the way that we use that gift is to challenge one another and to call each other out and call each other up and find some principles of truth that we can use so that we can create a better life. I think ultimately we all want the same things. We want to create life on our terms, and we want to enjoy the time that we have here. And I want to share what I'm learning along the way in hopes that it helps you do just that. After I read some of these comments, I sat down to really collect my thoughts, and I wrote down some thoughts of what I was taking away from what people were saying. And what I'd love to do to end the episode is just read those thoughts to you to give you something more to think about. I believe we have lost our way. We used to praise excellence, and now we praise mediocrity. We used to celebrate personal responsibility, and now we celebrate victimhood. We used to admire individual achievement, and now we demonize the achievers. We used to seek the uncomfortable truths of life, and now it seems like we just seek comfort. Our culture of excellence has become a culture of dependency, victimhood, and entitlement. Instead of challenging each other to overcome the adversities of life and having the courage to share hard truths with each other, we've accepted excuses and blamed others for our failures and shortcomings. We've become a victim of circumstance instead of being the creator of it. It feels like we've forgotten that greatness is created by taking radical responsibility for our results and committing to constant and never-ending improvement. To achieve anything great, we must take massive action, make sacrifices for what we want, have the discipline to follow through, and the courage to push beyond our limits to discover what's possible. We need a new brand of leaders to rise up and lead. Leaders who reject average, embrace responsibility, speak uncomfortable truths with each other, pursue excellence, and hold one another accountable to never fucking settle for less than we were created to be. I believe we need to challenge the status quo. We need to speak truth, hold each other accountable, celebrate individual achievement, admire those who take personal responsibility, and pursue truth beyond comfort. Because all of our problems can be solved with 3 words. It's my fault. I wholeheartedly believe power follows responsibility. And if we have the courage to admit our life is our fault and life is happening for us, we can overcome any of the challenges we face in life. And that's my prayer for all of us. I believe we have a moral, ethical, and spiritual responsibility to be the best that we can be and to make the most out of this life that we've been given. Let's take the gifts and talents our Creator has given us and go all in on life, to hold nothing back so we have nothing to lose and that we leave nothing on the table, no stone unturned, no adversity unaccepted. We must have the courage to believe in ourselves above all else, to chase our dreams, and to create the life we want. Again, that's my goal for this show. That's my prayer for all of us, to go into the world and have the courage to face all the challenges, all the adversities, to go all in on ourselves, and to create a life that is worthy of us. We were all created for a reason. Our life has purpose, and I believe we were born to be great. We're all equal as souls, but we're not all equal in the marketplace, meaning we've all been dealt a different hand. But either all of it's an accident or none of it is. And I choose to believe that none of it's an accident. And that means that the challenges that we've been given, whether it's health, parents, children, whatever the adversities we might face in life, if it's happening for us, then you have been dealt that hand for a reason. And that reason, that pain, that challenge, that adversity, if you lean into it, if you grow through it, it gives you deep sense of meaning and purpose in your life. And my guess is you can use that environment, that situation, to lead by example and inspire so many people with your experience and with your action. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for having this conversation and following along. I know the greatest asset, the greatest resource you have is your time. And if you've spent it with me today, if you've made it to this point, I just want to humbly say thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm here. If you need anything, you can reach out to us on social media. You can follow us online. You can email us. Again, I want to have a dialogue with you about how we can learn and grow together. I say this every week, and we'll end it with this today. The life that we want is on the other side of the responsibility we embrace. I'll talk to you guys soon.